Here's the thing. Either your kid is going to use AI to cheat or they're going to use it to show you just how bright they are. Is that true? Let's take a minute to think about this really important question and then you can decide for yourself. Hey friends, I'm Melissa. I'm so glad you're here. And if you're new here, I want you to know that I'm an educator with over 14 years of experience. I'm a homeschooling mom. I specialize in writing instruction for homeschool kids in our online classes. And today we're going to dive into something that has been everywhere these days, and it's using AI tools like ChatGPT for writing. So here's the real. I use AI myself all the time, from creating grammar exercises for my students to lesson planning. It is a super powerful tool. But when we're talking about kids using it instead of the thinking muscles that they need, that's when it starts to become a problem. So let's talk about using AI wisely and being able to spot when it's being misused. Before we get too deep into this, if you are looking to teach thoughtfully and effectively, thank you for being here, first off. And second, I would love to ask you to subscribe. That helps me get this content out to more people, and I can promise in return that I will be in the comments answering questions and engaging with you guys. That is something that I love, and I'm really excited to hear your thoughts on this topic. Can I tell you a quick story real quick? I love using a tool called Nearpod. This is an interactive tool, free for people to use. So I'll leave a card here in case you want to check out how to use it. But I was creating a lesson in Nearpod, and I wanted to get kids using a certain grammar concept, coordinating conjunctions, fanboys, if you can remember that. So instead of spending like 30 minutes writing out a story that then I was going to have kids circle the coordinating conjunctions in, I just went to ChatGPT and I said, give me a 100-word story about a squirrel who loves hot sauce. Include 8 examples of fanboys or coordinating conjunctions in context. Boom. There's the story, copy, paste. Awesome. Now, this is what teachers can use AI for, to create stuff, to be precise, to be correct, for goodness sake, to make sure that we're giving our students fun stuff to interact with, to practice with, and then move on. This is not a good use of our time to spend hours creating stories. That said, using this to create better lessons and not replace the thinking is what we're looking at as we shift to the student side. Okay, so teachers, hear me out. Please use AI, make it a helpful tool in your classroom, but let's look at how we can encourage our students to do this well in their own work. And just so you know, whenever I encounter one of those AI generated pieces of content that I've put into my lessons, I always tell my students why. Because it's super obvious. There are way too many adjectives. There are so many extra words. It just doesn't look natural. And kids, when they see, oh, that's what it looks like. Oh, and she's admitting that she used this, she's telling me that she used this. Cool. Okay, I can see where the value is. We're giving them that explanation. It doesn't have to be this long, drawn out discussion, guys. These are little conversations that we can have over the course of time. So let's go ahead and dive into the student side of things. One thing that I'm seeing from my students more and more is just copy paste ChatGPT answers to book study questions that I give my students. So when I give them a book study question from chapter 2 of a book, let's say there's 50 chapters in a book, and I know there is a huge shift later in the book with secret information that we don't know at the beginning, and yet their answer for that chapter 2 question includes hints about what's to come. Either they read ahead, they watched the movie, maybe, or they're using ChatGPT. And if the grammar is out of line enough to link up the two, it's very likely they just typed that into ChatGPT and boom, here's the answer they got. So how can we remedy this? Again, reminding students, I want to see your thoughts here. It may not be 100% right. It may not be 100% built out, but that's what our class is for. We're here to discuss things. We're here to hear your thoughts on things, not somebody else's. This is a waste of your time and mine if this is what you choose to do with these questions. Something that I'm seeing more and more often from my ELLs is something that I hinted at in that last answer. My English language learners sometimes will use ChatGPT to put in the questions, and then they'll get out these grammatically complex and vocabulary rich answers that do not jive with where they're at in English. And so being able to have that conversation, making sure that they feel, number one, comfortable enough in our class to show who they really are, to show the point that they're at. They may not be ready to have some independent clause, some dependent clause joined by a conjunction and making things really complex. No, you're not there yet, friend, and that's okay. So making sure that they feel comfortable there, but also using that moment. Again, the moment that they use AI isn't a waste. Don't just, get angry at them and move on. Oh, the idea of, hey, these are great. I have a feeling this was not something that you wrote without extra help. Am I right? Something like that. Usually they will say, yeah, actually I used this tool. Okay. All right. Well, let's take a look at what this is, because usually your writing doesn't look like this, but this is actually a nice sentence. Let's break down how this works. Okay. Use it as a teaching moment, and then ensure later on, potentially if they're a younger kid, letting their family know, hey, this is happening. But being able to kind of work through that and encourage them. We want to use this well. If you want to know more vocabulary words that you could use, ask GPT for that. Don't ask it to write the answer for you. Finally, zero evidence of thinking. I've seen this where ChatGPT just gives a really incorrect answer and doesn't show any analysis. It's just regurgitating facts. Now, totally possible that this could be from the student, but when I've seen this in students who use ChatGPT often and need to be called out for it, this is something where we need the opportunity to step back ourselves, I would say, and ask, how else can I structure this learning? This is not something that they're ready to take on yet. They don't have the maturity to answer these questions yet without, moving away from the temptation of using AI to answer these. So what else can we do? I have seen this. Again, I'm going to mention Nearpod here because they're in a Nearpod lesson. And sure, they could go out into another tab and use ChatGPT or another AI software, but that's not something that typically happens. Using something like Nearpod, they are in the lesson with you, and the activities or engaging kind of moments that they have to show up for cannot support AI at that point. And so there's kind of an onus on us as well as teachers to be able to say, this isn't working. This consistently happens. Let's shift. Because when we're giving kids work that requires no thought, no analysis, if they're not mature enough to handle it, then they're not ready for that yet, and they need something else. So put the training wheels back on. Go to a tool like Nearpod or something else that would allow them to go through the process of thinking a little bit more. So here's the thing: when kids skip the process of wrestling with an idea, of figuring out what they actually believe about it, being able to explain it, how to connect it to something else, they miss the very heart of learning. So let's teach them how to do this well. Okay, be that teacher, be that parent, the one that takes the time to bridge the gap. So we've established that not all AI is bad, not even close. And I want to give you some pictures, some snapshots of how some of my students are using it in amazing ways. They're doing some really cool things with it, things that I was really impacted by, which makes me want to share them with you guys. One of my students trained ChatGPT, and by trained, I just mean she said, talk to me like a 10-year-old who loves Harry Potter and volleyball. Guess what? She loves Harry Potter and volleyball. And so ChatGPT will sprinkle its answers with Harry Potter references and volleyball references so that she can understand them better. It's not going to use college level words. It's going to use 10-year-old words. Okay, that makes sense. That's pretty cool. Now, here's the genius behind this. She didn't do this just to then continue copying and pasting in questions from her homework. No, she was doing her homework on the side and would come to a concept, let's say different types of triangles in math, and would go to ChatGPT and say, explain the different types of triangles to me. Okay, a concept she doesn't quite understand, wants some help with, and wants it explained on her level. Amazing, super cool. Again, it's teaching her to think. She's looking for answers. she's finding them and she's able to understand them to then go back and be able to finish her work. I have another student who has daily writing prompts. Again, I have these in my store. Like, this is a great way to develop writing stamina, be able to just think critically, little bit by bit every day. And the cool thing that they use ChatGPT for is to then put their writing into ChatGPT and edit together. So it'll say, help me revise, teach me what I did wrong in this piece. Sweet. And then they're able to have this conversation and say, why is that a coordinating conjunction? Why do I need a comma here? Why is there a comma at the end of this quotation? This is really cool. Even better if we can train it to teach or communicate with the kid in kid language. So say, talk to me like a 10-year-old, talk to me like a 12-year-old who's having trouble with grammar, right? So you get even more support there. Final one is that I've had students use AI to expand their public speaking presentations. We have a class called Curio Speak, and in there, we give students a topic. Sometimes they choose, sometimes it's assigned to them. But I had a student who was presenting on transplants, okay? So organ transplants. And of course, maybe your mind and my mind go to human transplants. But my student was like, I wonder if there's other types of transplants I don't know about. I want to know more. So he told ChatGPT, here's what I know about transplants. Are there other things I'm missing? And ChatGPT got into a few other areas, things like animal to human transplants, which then led him to an article about how there was a pig organ that was successfully transplanted into a human. That is wild, and something he never would have come up with had he not taken the time to dive deeper. So again, having that conversation, a lot of AI tools like ChatGPT are great because it is a little bit more natural. You don't have to have these search skills to do that, but being able to sort through the truth and whatever facts we might need to check and verify is really important. So again, always double check the facts. Hopefully we all know that by now, but this was a really cool way to use it as a teaching mechanism, but a self-teaching mechanism because he was seeking it out. So that's the kind of AI use I'm here for. It supports the learning process without stealing the struggle that makes learning powerful. So whether you're a homeschool parent guiding your child's education or a classroom teacher trying to create an authentic environment, here's what I want you to know. Teach your kids to ask, and ask well, not just copy what AI gives them, but evaluate what's coming out. Do I understand this? Do I need more information? This is where that struggle comes in, but it's so rewarding when we're able to teach them how to do this well. Also, the focus should be on the process, not just the product. That messy first draft, it still matters. There is a place for the process of getting something wrong and getting revisions back. Sure, we could do that using ChatGPT, asking it to revise with us, but there is a place for that struggle. It just needs to be done well. Finally, using AI as a tool, not as a shortcut. Just like calculators didn't end math, AI will not end writing. It'll just change how we teach it. So if you're feeling overwhelmed by all this, you are not alone. Many teachers and parents are struggling with this. After one of my other AI videos, which I'll link here, I got a lot of feedback from parents and educators saying, I just don't know what to do. I love it, I use it, but I want them to do it well. This is something that all of us are working through right now. And I think it's really important that we have this conversation over and over in little chunks. You are totally able to help guide your kids through this. I want you to hear that. I'll also be here continuing to talk about it because it's something that I can see will be a huge benefit for our kids, but also a massive pitfall if we sit back, cross our fingers, and hope they get it right. You guys, if this video gave you something to think about, drop a comment. I'd love to hear your thoughts on how you or your kids have used AI in smart ways, or the challenges that you've run into so far. Just a reminder, do give this video a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to this channel for more homeschool savvy, writing teacher approved content. And share this with a friend who might be navigating their own AI apocalypse. AI is here, you guys, but the heart of learning is still thinking deeply, writing bravely, and growing in confidence. So let's help our kids do just that. And you guys, thank you again for all that you're doing. It's really important. Happy teaching.